One of the most common things that I notice as somebody who has been speaking about the law and teaching these principles for a number of years now is the number of people that are struggling to implement and put these teachings into practice. A little while ago, I came out with a video talking about manifestation and mental health. And this is a topic that I take very, very seriously because it's one that I'm noticing more and more is prevalent here. I'm seeing more and more people that are feeling burned out when it comes to the law and applying what we're taught. And it's the main reason that I wanted to make today's video and talk about manifestation and anxiety and how we can grapple with anxiety and what to do if we are feeling anxious, because this is something that is so prevalent and so common when we are learning and when we are beginning to apply what we've learned here. But the other reason is purely from a place of having experienced myself what this is like. So if you are somebody that is struggling with anxiety, struggling with an overactive mind, overthinking, perfectionism, obsessive thoughts, if any of these are things that you are grappling with, then I absolutely hope you stick around to the end of the video, because I want to talk about how to overcome and deal with anxiety in the process of manifestation, and some tips and things that we can do to alleviate this and help us transcend the fear and anxiety so that we can actually and finally manifest what it is that we want. By the way, hi, I'm Missy Renee, and on this channel we talk all things manifestation and the law of assumption. So if that's a topic you want to learn more about, then definitely be sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon for notifications, and if you enjoy my content, please be sure to hit that thumbs up button. If you're interested in any of my resources, such as my coaching programs, my workshops, and masterclasses, I've got links to all of that down in the description box below, so don't forget to check that out. One of the most common and lovely compliments that I get from people who stumble onto my channel is telling me about how the thing that they love about my videos is my calm demeanor, and how my relaxing voice and my demeanor helps people to feel more soothed as they learn about this content. And for me, this is such an incredible compliment, and it's something that I do not take lightly, because the truth is, I haven't always been this way. I haven't always been somebody who is calm and relaxed. In fact, quite the opposite is true. I personally used to be riddled with anxiety 24/7. I had constant fears and doubts and an overthinking mind that consistently and perpetually kept me on edge. It felt like my body was stuck in fight or flight mode. And I was constantly on edge, just waiting for the other shoe to drop, waiting for something terrible to happen. It was hell on earth, no exaggeration. So needless to say, this is a topic that I take very seriously because it's one that is very personal to me, having experienced it at such a degree on my own journey. And that's why I want to touch on this today. And I want to talk about how to overcome this, and something that is often overlooked in this community, but needs to be stressed because the importance of it cannot be emphasized enough. According to the US Census Bureau Household Poll Survey, 19.1% of adults in the United States have been diagnosed with an anxiety disorder. That's 40 million adults in the United States. If that wasn't bad enough, nearly 1/3 of adults in the US reported having anxiety and depression symptoms in 2023. And that's just in the United States. Worldwide, anxiety disorders are the most common types of mental illness in the world. So needless to say, if you are somebody that is struggling with anxiety, you are most certainly not alone. We have an epidemic on our hands. And there's a myriad of factors as to why this is, outside of trying to manifest. It certainly doesn't help that there are so many things going on in this world today that are contributing to us already feeling very anxious and very unsettled and feeling depressed. It doesn't help that we live in a world that is constantly moving, constantly going, constantly plugged in. It feels like we don't have an opportunity to take a moment of rest. In this constant hustle, grind, go, go, go society that we live in, it's the least bit surprising that a lot of people are feeling this way. It goes hand in hand with the feeling like we need to be perfect all the time. It feels like we need to be on our A game. And that's certainly something that many people have expressed to me has been a struggle for them. This idea that we need to be perfect at this or else we'll fail. But before we talk about some ways in which to deal with and overcome anxiety while manifesting, I want to touch on a point and emphasize the importance of something that is often overlooked in this community. And that is that we must, for best results, first get ourselves relaxed. And rest assured, I am going to be sharing some tips and things that you can do to help get yourself into a more relaxed state. But first, I really want to touch on this because, again, I know it sounds so obvious that it is almost comical, but we so often overlook it, or we're too focused on how to get this thing that we forget the importance of relaxation. This is one of the most important aspects to this entire practice. And if I could give one piece of advice for everyone watching this to take forward on your manifestation journey, it is to be conscious and deliberate and mindful about relaxation and bringing relaxation into your practice. And to really drive this home, I want to point to a fact about Neville and why, in my opinion, this practice came so naturally to him. The way that Neville explains this, he makes it sound so damn easy. And there is a reason that for Neville, it did come much easier than for others. And this may be a fact that some of you do not know, and that is Neville Goddard was a dancer. Before he met Abdullah, and long before he went on to give lectures on the metaphysics, he was an internationally acclaimed dancer by trade, which means that he instinctively knew how to relax his body and then, of course, his mind. Relaxation came second nature to him. As a dancer, relaxation had to come second nature to him because if he didn't relax his body, he would be injured. So this is something that he naturally and instinctively knew how to do, and hence why he made it look so freaking easy, because to him, it was. And this was a point that was also made by author Israel Regardie, my apologies if I'm mispronouncing the last name, who wrote the book, The Romance of Metaphysics. In that book, he has an entire chapter dedicated to Neville and his teachings. And Israel had met Neville and saw him perform and saw him in his lectures. He knew him back in the day. And he gave a really thoughtful observation that I wanted to share with you guys today. Israel said, and I quote, "Above all, Neville's teachings demands that the student must learn the gentle art of relaxation, not by turning the back on body and ignoring its demands, but by learning the simple technique of so doing. Neville knows the art of relaxation instinctively. He is a dancer, and a dancer must, of necessity, relax. Hence, I believe he does not fully and consciously realize that the average person in his audience does not know the mechanism of relaxation, does not know how to let go." The importance of relaxation, especially in regards to manifestation, is the simple fact that we cannot try to relax. We cannot force ourselves or try to push ourselves to relax. It is the opposite of effort. It is effortless. The only way to relax is to surrender, unwind, give in. We cannot move ourselves to a place of relaxation by force. And once in this relaxed state, imagining what we desire comes effortlessly to us. And this is why Neville stressed so often the importance of SAT and the importance of relaxation by first physically relaxing the body, because physical relaxation induces mental relaxation. The two go hand in hand. And in order to truly feel the realness of your desire, in order to truly imagine the wish fulfilled, we must first be in a relaxed state. If we're feeling anxious or fearful or desperate, it's going to feel incredibly strained and difficult to live in that end. Imagining from the state of desperation only breeds more desperation. And I wish somebody told me this sooner. But what a lot of people tend to find once they go about consciously aiming to relax is that this is actually a lot more challenging to us than we might initially think. And this is usually a big reason why this is so challenging for us is due to a lot of the conditioning that we faced as a society growing up. Many of us may not even be conscious of how much that work harder mentality is wired into us. The idea that we need to work hard, that we need to take more action, that we need to make things happen, that we need to be productive is such a powerful driving force, and especially for the things that we really, really want. We are inherently wired to think that we need to be taking action, that we need to be doing more. And this is especially true if you are somebody who is a type A person or somebody with perfectionist tendencies, which also goes hand in hand with more anxiety. We hear all the time about the importance of letting go and surrendering and going with the flow, but many of us do not know and haven't experienced this no effort way of life. Because for those who may be anxious, for those who may be type A or perfectionist, getting relaxed and doing less feels like we're wasting time. It feels like we're not doing enough to make this thing happen. That the absence of working harder and just allowing ourselves to relax is unproductive and won't work. And thus we begin to feel anxious again at the idea of allowing ourselves to relax and do less. Okay, with all that said, we understand the importance of relaxation and why it can feel so difficult for us to relax, especially if we tend to feel anxious or if we tend to have obsessive thoughts and perfectionist traits. I want to give you guys some tips and helpful things to note in order to bring about more of an induced state of relaxation in your practice, and how we can begin to overcome feelings of anxiety while imagining and going to the end. Number one, take advantage of the drowsy state. I made a video recently talking about SATs, and it's certainly not the first video that I've made, and it certainly won't be my last. But there is so much evidence and there's so much that we know is helpful when it comes to getting in this drowsy twilight state between consciousness and sleep. We know from peer-reviewed studies about the effects of being in a drowsy state. In one study, researchers concluded that in the state of hypnotic trance, control of the consciousness is in the background, modified by attention, concentration, and letting go of thoughts, while access to the unconscious is created. Also, increased activation in the visual center under hypnosis is related to a subjectively perceived degree of relaxation. This means that the degree of subjectively perceived relaxation is usually greater in deep hypnosis than in a light hypnotic trance, because the focus of attention on the inner experience is increased, allowing an increased capacity for responses to suggestion. In the simplest terms, what we have found through peer-reviewed studies is that our ability to shut out the 3D world and interact solely with the inner world is heightened. Our ability to go within and shut out the critical thinking mind is greater when in this hypnotic, trance-like state. Also increased is our ability to leave suggestions to the subconscious mind. I understand that there are varying degrees of opinion when it comes to SATs. I have heard many of them. I also understand that this is a practice that some people have struggled with, but it cannot be overlooked, and we even have research that says that we're going to have a much easier time keeping ourselves relaxed, shutting out the conscious critical mind, and leaving suggestions to the subconscious mind while we are in the drowsy state. I will not stop emphasizing how important it is to practice this. Tip number 2 is equally as important, especially for those who may be struggling with anxiety, and that is to build and form a meditation practice. If you do not have or have not started meditation, I strongly recommend doing so. Now, a lot of people are going to say that they've tried meditation or they struggle with it, and to be clear, this is completely normal at first. Hell, even Neville Goddard said that meditation, just like any other art or expression, requires constant practice to see results. He also had to say this: I find that those who complain of the difficulty in meditation do not make it a daily practice, but rather wait until something pressing appears in their world and then, through an act of will, try to fix their attention on the desired state. But they do not know that meditation is the education of the will, for when will and imagination are in conflict, imagination invariably wins. Simply put, he's calling a lot of people out there, including something that I was notorious for myself. A lot of us do not make meditation a daily practice. We do not make deliberately imagining a daily practice, but instead wait until shit hits the fan until we try to make it happen through effort and force. But what he's referring to there is the law of reversed effort that states that the conscious mind and subconscious mind, when in conflict, will see the subconscious mind as the winner. We cannot force a subconscious impression through conscious means and effort. We do not have to make this a trying process. Now, to get started, if you are somebody who prefers a guided meditation or something to help you better relax and keep your focus, then I absolutely recommend doing so. There's a plethora of meditations here on YouTube and meditation apps, so play around and find some that work best for you. But truly and honestly and completely, my aim is that every one of you takes away from this video the importance of a meditation practice and how much this is going to help you when it comes to aiding and relieving your anxiety to allow your desires to finally come to pass. Tip number 3 is breath work. This is something that I've mentioned often, especially in my live streams, but I'm going to repeat it to the point of redundancy because breathwork is nothing short of miraculous, and there's a reason why it is so well recommended when it comes to alleviating anxiety. We will notice a physiological response when we take slow, deep breaths from the diaphragm and slowly let ourselves inhale and exhale. We are sending signals to the brain that says we are not in danger, and thus you're going to notice almost immediately a decrease in heart elevation, reduced tension in your muscles, because what this is doing is it's allowing your nervous system to shut off the fight or flight response and turn on the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the system that helps you to relax and heal. There are many different types of breath work and breathing exercises. I'll leave a couple of my favorites down in the description box for you below to check out, but do not overlook the potency and importance of deep breathing. This one in and of itself will be a game changer, I promise. Tip number 4 is to slow down a bit. Be conscious and mindful of how fast you are going. And this one may not be so apparent for us, but due to the fact that we live in such a fast-paced world, it is so easy to get caught up in the rat race of everything. Before we know it, the days passed and we're exhausted and on the verge of burnout. So be mindful to give yourself opportunities in the day to just be. Stop and smell the roses, as they say. Give yourself a window to introduce creative outlets, things that will naturally bring some sense of relaxation. This could be art, such as coloring books, drawing, singing, listening to music, dancing, moving the body, stretching, yoga, getting outside, going for a walk, taking a bubble bath, getting a massage. Whatever it might be, carve out a window, even if it's only 20 or 30 minutes a day, to where you can just do something that will allow you to relax and just be as present as you can in this moment, and strive to give that to yourself every day. We're playing the long game here. And for myself personally, it wasn't until I started to become deliberate and conscious of slowing down and going more with the flow and bringing in activities that were more relaxing that I started to see things happening faster. Doing less truly started to make more happen for me. Either way, when we slow down and allow ourselves time for more mindfulness activities, our lives are going to be enriched from it. And these are just a few tips to help get started, but these are some that absolutely helped change everything for me. I went from somebody who was constantly anxious 24/7, suffering from debilitating anxiety, from somebody who feels grounded, centered, calm, and relaxed the vast majority of the time. And lastly, and most importantly, we really need to start seeing through the falseness in the mind's assumption that it needs a new reality before we can feel relaxed. A lot of times people will say, well, Missy, I can't get relaxed until something changes. I need to see something change before I can even allow myself to get relaxed. And that is just not true. We can aid ourselves into getting into a more relaxed state of being right now, irrespective of whatever situation you may encounter, and as difficult as that might be to believe. But first, we must stop falling for the mind's arguments that we cannot allow ourselves to relax, or we cannot give ourselves a moment of peace, because that would just be wasting time or unproductive. Because the truth is that as soon as we let go and learn to release ourselves from the fears and false assumptions of the mind, you will immediately find yourself in a more relaxed state of being. And the more that we do this, the more that we practice the art of relaxation and methods and ways to help alleviate that anxiety, alleviate that stress response, the more that we give ourselves permission to go with the flow and to slow it down and trust the process, that by doing less can make it come faster if we get out of our own way. Once we know this, once we begin to apply this, and once we begin to take the steps to alleviate the anxieties and fears from the mind, life will begin to unfold for you in miraculous ways. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I hope you found it helpful. I hope you found it resourceful. If you did enjoy it, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you are interested in any of my resources, I will leave links down below to my coaching programs, my workshops and masterclasses, my podcast, my blog, my social channels. Got a ton of great resources down in the description box below, so don't forget to check it out. Also, be sure to check out the other videos on this channel. Be sure to check out my Manifestation Fundamentals playlist. Each video is a different topic, but it all pertains in how to manifest the best life ever. So until we meet again, you guys, as always, please take care, be well, and never forget how powerful you truly are. Happy manifesting, guys.